Hello and welcome to the Ridiculously Good VA Show with Tracy Daviero. If you are a virtual assistant or want to be one, this is the place to learn the tips and tricks you need to become a ridiculously good VA. I've been a part of the VA industry since 1998, and I'm excited to get to know you and help you build an amazing business. Let's go. Hey there, welcome to another episode of the podcast that teaches you how to be a ridiculously good virtual assistant. Today we're talking about working with those clients that are, well, difficult, challenging, annoying, whatever your word is for someone that drives you crazy. Today's quote is from Bill Gates, and it is this: "Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning." Look at that. We're talking about a negative topic, and it's actually a positive quote. Go, Tracy. It's simple fact that you will eventually come upon a challenging client. And what we're going to cover today in today's episode is what you need to learn from that client and how to proceed moving forward if you do get into the weeds with somebody. Let's go. We love our VA clients, don't we? Sure we do. They pay us to do stuff that we love to do. But in a lot of cases, these people that we decide to work with are brand new to us. We don't know them from Adam, and so we have to get to know them through the work that we do together. And sometimes it goes well. We click, we communicate, we work well together. Everything is great. If we have any issues, we sort them out easily because we know we're learning to work together. But sometimes it doesn't go well. Sometimes we struggle. Sometimes we don't communicate well. And sometimes we don't sort out those issues easily at all. So let's talk about what to do when you have to deal with a difficult client. Actually, first let's figure out what we consider to be a difficult client. A difficult client is one who micromanages your work, or one who doesn't pay you on time, or one who pushes your boundaries, or one who does everything last minute, or one who communicates poorly, or one who treats you like an employee, or one who never sends you the work you need to do the work you need to do, or one who complains all the time, or one who thinks they know better than you. I could probably go on, but that's likely enough examples. You get the picture, and I've likely named at least one difficult client that you've worked with in the past. It's super frustrating to even go through that list, but it's fact, right? It's just the way it is. These people exist, and we have to deal with it. But I think the first thing that I want to tell you is that none of this is okay. I talk to so many VAs on a regular basis, on a daily basis, and they're going through some of these things. They're going through lots of different things, but some of them tell me situations where they're working with clients and that they think this is okay because they're being paid to do what they're doing. And I want to tell you, it's so important for me to tell you that none of these situations is okay. Clients don't get to do any of this to you or with you, okay? I'm totally team you here, but I'm going to tell you something that maybe you're not going to like. If you have difficult clients, yes, they're crappy. There's no question. We're going to say they don't do things right. But if you have difficult clients, particularly if you have more than one difficult client, it may not be them that is the problem. What does that mean? That means that you could be the problem. So we're going to start there, and then I'll tell you how to fix any of these problems if you're actually having them. So I am sorry, but you are a big part of the problem if you have a difficult client. And the reason is super simple. It's something that one of my business coaches told me many years ago, and I lean on it all the time. And I tell you guys this all the time as well. You teach people how to treat you. I don't know who we can attribute that original quote to in the business world, but I know so many business people who use it, who live by it, and who quote it. And it is essential. You teach people how to treat you, okay? If a client is treating you poorly, it's because you're letting them. So the first thing we have to do is fix how you handle yourself in your VA business. You're a business owner. You own your business, and you get to make all of the decisions about your business. You get to decide your rates, the services you offer, the services you don't offer, your communication methods, your payment terms, your lead times, your scheduling, every little bit of it. You get to decide. It's your VA business. You are somebody's assistant by title, but you are not their employee. Okay? You are a business owner and you get to decide every single one of those things and a whole lot more in your VA business. Our clients, they get to decide all of those things for their business, not yours, but theirs. Okay? If you were their employee, then you would be representing their business or you would be a part of their business. And yes, then they would be able to make a lot of those decisions that I was just talking about. But for you, they would decide your wage, they would decide what you do, when you work, where you work, all of those things. You are an independent contractor that your client has hired to do work for you. And so you get to decide all of those things about your business, okay? Think about your clients. Do their clients get to tell them when they're going to pay them and what the rate will be that they'll pay them? Or how they're going to communicate with them? No, they don't. I've worked with business coaches for a really long time. Of course, I am a business coach. And I tell my clients as a business coach where we're going to meet, where the Zoom room that we're going to meet in, how we communicate with each other, the frequency of that, and what that looks like. I tell them how much it costs, tell them how many meetings they get, tell them what we're going to accomplish during those meetings. I get to set the tone for all of those things. And my clients, when I was working with business coaches, they got to set the tone for them as well. So your clients' clients can't tell them that either. I'll give you an example. Can you imagine calling your dentist and saying, I need to come in tomorrow at 1:30 and I need you to give me some full veneers and I'm only going to pay you $20? Sounds like a silly example, but it's true. A dentist is a service business. They provide a service that we pay for. And of course you can't do that. You're contacting another business and you're booking their service. You need to find out when they have time in their schedule. You can request 1:30, but that doesn't mean that they have it open. And maybe they have a lot of lead time that they need, presumably for something like veneers, that they can't just do it tomorrow, right? You have to find out if they even offer the service that you need. If they do the veneers, what has to happen before we can deliver the veneers? And then you have to ask them how much they charge for that service. It's exactly the same thing for your VA clients. They need to ask you all of those things. They need to find out all of those things from you, and you are the one that determines them. Like I said, it may seem like a little silly example, but it is a service business and it illustrates how you need to reframe your mindset around being a business owner in your own right and how you need to change your thinking, especially if you are dealing with difficult clients. This is why policies are so important to create starting out in your business. And sometimes we don't know what those policies are until we need them. So you want to start somewhere, right? Your clients need to understand that you call the shots and that they're hiring you to provide a service, but that there are expectations that need to be managed about how that happens on a daily basis. Okay, so now that we're past the mindset and we're past the you teach people how to treat you, we're going to change how you treat them, how they treat you, and how you tell them to treat you. Let's get into some of fixing of the issues that I talked about earlier, if you are indeed experiencing them. Okay, the micromanagers. You're not their employee. They don't get to manage anything about what you do. They can tell you what needs doing, maybe the way they would like it done, but then it is your responsibility to keep the task on track and keep the client up to date on status. Sometimes what happens is people micromanage because they aren't sure where the status of something is. So it's your responsibility to communicate that well and make sure that the client isn't guessing what's done. Project management systems are so good for this because usually somebody can see with a checklist, they can see how far along something is. And lots of times I find if somebody is trying to micromanage you, it's because they have that uncertainty. So help them be certain, give them regular updates or provide them a place where they can see what the update is so that they can feel a little bit better about it. The late payers, 100% switch them to prepayment. If you haven't been paid, stop working immediately until you get paid. Okay? Once you've waited on payment, trust me, it's going to be easier to ask your new clients to prepay you. But if somebody is consistently paying you late, now I'm not talking about the people who, maybe once every couple of months, a long weekend comes up and they, just not available at their computer or something like that. We're talking about the repeat offenders, okay? The people who don't pay you consistently and still make you, still want you to be their VA. So once you have waited on payment, you're going to find it easier to ask new people to prepay, but you want to be able to change the repeat offenders as soon as possible. You just let them know that I'm going to require prepayment moving forward. That's a really easy fix. And if that means the end of your relationship, it is what it is. You're not getting paid to do their work anyway, and you're struggling. And the bottom line is that if you haven't been paid, you must stop work immediately. Don't worry about getting comfortable with asking for prepayment. You will get there at some point in your business, and it usually is right after the first time somebody pays you quite late. If you're chasing money, you don't want to have to do that. And that's a boundary that you can set. That's a policy that you can set. That's your payment term. Speaking of boundaries, we have the boundary pushers. If you set your boundaries, you set them for a reason. Things like office hours, communication methods, response times, lead times, etc. If your client is breaking any of those rules and they're getting away with it, it's because you're letting them get away with it. So let's stop that, right? If you tell clients that they need to connect with you by scheduled phone call and by email or through the project management system only, and they start texting you or phoning you all the time, and that's not a way that you're supposed to be communicating with them, you need to just really quickly respond using your correct communication method and remind them that I don't take texts. Or if they are, if that's handy for them in the moment and it's okay with you, you don't want to respond through text. And again, I'm not telling you what your communication methods are. Maybe texting is great for you. It wasn't for me. I was very clear. We did scheduled phone call and we did emails or project management, which came through our email. And so one of those two ways was how you communicated with me. And if you sent me a text, I would not respond to the text because I'll tell you, clients really easily break the rules once you let them. And so I had clients who would consistently text me once I started saying, oh, that's great, no problem. I'll update our project management system. You need to pull it right back over to where your boundary is and remind them this is where we communicate, right? Very important. And there are lots of different boundaries that they can push, but that's a big one. Communication is a really big one. The last minuters, always needing rush work because something comes up. We want to help, we want to feel supportive, and we want to make sure that we are helping them get the things done that they need to get done, right? The only way to get rid of the last minuters is not to do rush work. I've heard a lot of VAs who charge rush fees, which you can do if you want to. I used to do it too, but it still made me work last minute to get the things done that the client needed done, and it never really changed that behavior. So my advice to you is don't do rush work. Just tell them, I'm supposed to have X number of lead days or days of lead time in order to get to it. And we didn't have that. So now that thing can't go out on Thursday. It has to go out on Saturday, or it has to go out next week, next Thursday. No rush fees, no, okay, just this once. It has to be a no because the behavior will be repeated again and again and again. And trust me, I'm telling you this because I've done this. I've allowed for it and I know all about it. And it's just very hard to get out of unless you give that hard stop. Of course, this is after you would send many reminders for the proper lead time, right? And if the client missed the lead time this week, then double up your reminders next week to make sure that you get what you need when you need it in order to do the work that you need to do. Last minuters are so fun. What about the crappy communicators? You may need to teach this one. Some people just are genuinely not good at communicating. I've had lots of clients over the years who are not good at communicating, and it's not their fault. They just don't know how to do it. But if you do notice that you're doing way too much back and forth communication because they can't articulate what they need, or because there's just way too much information coming through, or too many questions and that kind of thing, it's not always good to jump on the phone because, again, that's a really bad habit. And interrupting your work to be live with a client on 10 phone calls a week is really not the best use of your time. So you need to streamline your process. You need to figure out a way that's going to work for this client. Maybe you need an online form. Maybe you need a checklist. Maybe you need something that will help them to say, this is what I need, radio buttons, and make sure that they're giving you what they need. It's really important to be able to really identify what the issue is, especially inside of the communication, and making sure that you are both able to use it and that you're able to get your work done. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't mean you can't talk to your clients on the phone. Maybe you do need to have a scheduled call with a client every couple of days because the way their mind works, they need to just kind of brain dump and let you look after all the details. That's totally fine too. But if you do that, make sure that you keep those phone calls very, very short and on topic, because you can spend your whole week in meetings if you let it go kind of crazy. So that's crappy communication. What about the boss employee guy? We've talked about this a little bit already, but quite simply, you're not their employee. They can't treat you like one. You have to not act like one, and don't respond like one. If somebody emails you, you can acknowledge the email, but don't jump on the work and complete it the very first hour, or don't work simultaneously with them, or a screen share with them, or any of those things, because they're going to continue to expect that level of service. And as your business gets busier, you're not going to be able to work with all of your clients like that. So you need to be able to set what your business should look like and work with all of your clients that way. You need to make sure that they know you're not their employee every single day. And there are lots of ways to do that. I don't even know if I could give you some general examples, but certainly if we were in a conversation, the two of us, and you were telling me how somebody is treating you like their employee, I know I could give you lots of positive feedback, lots of good feedback on that. What about the where's the stuff person? Again, we've covered this a little bit in the rush work, right? But if you're constantly asking your clients to send you stuff and they don't, that could be a client that you should just walk away from. Seriously, you can't care more about their business than they do. And this is something I find VAs do a lot. We are caring people, we're supportive people. We're support professionals, right? It's what we do. And it's so important that we don't care more about their business than they do. They have to care about what needs to get done. They have to value it. And you need to get them to hire you for ongoing work that is essential to their business, but also that they know the value of, because then they're going to send you the things that they need to send you. One of my things that I used to do with my clients, my business coaches were my clients, and I used to always work with somebody who was working with a business coach. I didn't bring on any clients who weren't actively working with a business coach, because I knew if they were working with a business coach, and of course I knew the group of business coaches that my people were working with, and they were very high level. If they're spending all this money to work with this business coach, they're going to implement the plans, and they're going to have deadlines, they're going to have schedules, they're going to have all of these strategic plans. And so that was a real important piece of my working with them, is they had to be working with the coach in a program or in some kind of something where they were learning something and implementing it, because that guaranteed that I was going to get the work. And so sometimes that's what's really important as well whenever you're working with clients. If you're always fighting or rushing last minute, you need to stop caring more about their business than they do, and you need to either wait till they do, or work with somebody who is a little bit different. And the complainers. Okay, negativity sucks. It doesn't matter what you do. If all your client does is complain about you or someone else or themselves, that is my cue to cut ties with them. Sometimes some people go through, a little rough time or something, but if all they're doing is complaining and they're not sure, that what you're doing is what they're happy with, or questioning you all the time and that kind of thing, if it's not founded, if you're unsure of something that you're doing, that's okay. You can always work through those things. But if consistently you're finding that this person's kind of just a downer, if they complain all the time, then that's not a healthy relationship, and you want to get out of that. And then the last one is the smart guy, right? Your clients are hiring you for your expertise. It's okay if they know how to do the things that you're doing, but if they think they know better than you, you may continue to encounter challenges with them. Now, I'll be honest, I have been a terrific VA to my clients, and I know a lot about how I think things should be done. but I trust VAs to do my work once I've said my piece. I've said to them, this is what I need, this is the system I use, this is how I generally do it, this is how long I expect it to take, but I don't micromanage them and I don't sit there and criticize them. They are the professionals. If I'm not feeling comfortable with the person doing the work, then I change out the person doing the work, right? And that's what's really, really important. You need to help your clients feel confident and cared for, but at some point they have to accept that you know what you're doing and that it is good enough. Sometimes we look for someone to do something better than we do because they have expertise. Well, I can tell you, I've had several house cleaners, but over the years, I can clean my house very, very well. And on some days, I think my house cleaner cleans my house better than I do. And some days, I don't think she does, but she's still doing it every 2 weeks and I'm paying her to do it and I'm very happy to not have to do it. So I think that that's what we really need to look at, and we need to look at that from our client's perspective. You have to get them there, right? You have to make sure that they understand, yes, it's getting done, and yes, it's getting done to the level of expectation that they need, even maybe if they think they could do it better. It's not a good use of their time if it's something that they're working with you to do. So that's enough of that, right? How do we fix these things? It's so easy to fix a lot of it. Hopefully you're not having all of these things happening at once, but how's that for getting some help to deal with your difficult clients? I think it is so important to get your difficult VA clients under control or fire them as soon as you can. Sometimes we don't even realize that things are bad, right? Like I told you earlier, they don't get to do this. It's not okay for any of your clients to treat you less than or to make you struggle in any way, shape, or form. Like Bill Gates says, though, your most unhappy clients should be the ones you learn the biggest lessons from. And I love that quote because if you have a client that you consider to be a difficult one, they are not happy and you are not happy. So what are we supposed to do with that? We're supposed to learn from them. And yes, fix it if we can. Or, as I say, let go of the ones that are not working. So you need to learn what the issue is. You need to learn how to fix it. You need to adapt and implement those new rules and boundaries where you need to, and you need to do it starting today. They're super simple fixes. You can do them really, really easily, but you need to do them quickly. So if you started and got into some bad habits, you're totally not alone. We've all done it, but just you need to correct them right now. And be sure that any new clients that you bring in are not being allowed to fall into any of these things. They're not being allowed to do any of this difficult client stuff. And if you haven't experienced any of this yet, well, you probably haven't worked with clients yet. But if you have clients and you haven't you haven't had any trouble with difficult clients yet, first of all, congratulations, that's fantastic. But if you still need to make sure that you have policies in place for everything that I talked about earlier, and make sure that your clients know about it. Now, like I say, if you do have clients and you're not experiencing any of this, major high fives to you because you probably are doing things the way you're supposed to do them. And that's great. But if you're not, then you need to change the policies, your policies. You need to hold your boundaries and you need to adjust your own mindset so that you can run your business effectively. And you need to fire the clients who don't fit or who won't adapt once you try to make some changes. Your business is going to thank you, and it will honestly flourish when you set up and keep all of the rules that you need to avoid the difficult clients. Remember, you are part of the problem if you're letting people do this. So make those quick changes today, and you're going to really see the rewards. This is exactly what I help VAs do. As a VA coach and trainer, I help you set yourself up for success, helping you fix those specific things that may be going wrong in your business. When we work together, either privately or in a group, we talk specifically about your business and you. There is no one-stop solution for everybody when it comes to service businesses like a VA business, like your VA business. I'll help you get clarity around your issues, and I will cheer you on as you walk through the steps to fix them. I've helped hundreds of VAs through their challenges and I've gotten them on the way to growing their business and the lifestyle that they dream of, and I would love to do the same thing for you. You can work with me privately, or you can join the Virtual Circle, my mastermind group for VAs. You can check it out at yourvamentor.com/TVC, as in the Virtual Circle. I bet it's exactly what you need to start running the VA business you dreamed of. Reach out to me if you're interested in learning more. That's all I've got for you this week. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Ridiculously Good VA Show. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. For more great resources for your VA business, visit my website at yourvamentor.com. I'll see you back here next time.